Hello and welcome to Web of Wonder Astrology. We have a new moon in the sign of Gemini coming up. This is a really beautiful new moon. This is a beautiful opportunity, definitely a shift in energy, and I think we can all really use that. If you're new here, thank you for joining today. And if you've been here before, maybe you noticed that I have not been filming in the last few weeks. That is because we had a huge culmination of energy in the universe and in my life that showed up in very many intense ways. So I took a little bit of time to recalibrate, to really move through these transits. And I feel it has a lot also to do with Saturn. Saturn was moving in the last degree of Pisces, which is called the anaretic degree, degree 29. And this, maybe you felt it in the last weeks, was an energy that was very, very demanding, calling for some kind of mastery, but it was really, really occupied with processing. Processing information on such a level that is kind of all-encompassing, and processing things that aren't really being able to pinpoint them to one single thing. So it just demanded a lot of intention, a lot of focus to kind of organize all of that energy and be with it and sit with it and feel through what is actually, the mastery that is achieved right now, but also what is the dedication that is required, where is the persistence needed, what needs to be dissolved, where have there been illusions, and just feeling that in such like a wide way that now Saturn, just today actually, as I'm recording, the Saturn is moving into the sign of Aries, where it will be for the next years. And so this energy is now shifting. It's very different. I feel it as this intense activation, which is why I feel super ready today to film another video about the moon. And maybe you feel also this sense of relief, this sense of almost like this spark, this excitement that you feel at the beginning of a new journey, or maybe sometimes also the, a feeling of dread that you feel at the beginning of a new journey when you're starting something that is going to take a few years, and you're committing yourself to something and you're excited, but you're also like, okay, this is going to take some effort and dedication. So this is where we're at right now with Saturn, which is a beautiful energy that is accompanying us into the new moon. And what we've also been experiencing in the last couple of days, especially, is Mercury was traveling over the planet of Uranus. And we already had a Uranus-Sun conjunction, basically with the last full moon, which brought us this really strong Uranus prominence in the last month, or in the last 2 weeks especially. With Mercury there as well, a lot of neural activity, a lot of overstimulation. Uranus still being in Taurus. For me, it felt like really an overstimulation of the nervous system. Worldwide, we could see it through a heightened activity of volcanoes, seismic activity, explosions of the mind, of awareness, which can be, in any directions. It can be this huge realization that is just like a positive breakthrough moment, and it can be this huge eruption of whatever has been suppressed that then leads to violence, to outrage, to damage. We had also a Uranus Cazimi, so this Uranus energy was very, very present. On a personal level, we may have experienced this as, outbursts of things that we wanted to say and that we maybe didn't even feel came out in the right way, or just finally being able to say something that we've been suppressing for a while. So it shows itself in all the directions and all the colors. As usual with astrology, it's never a one-sided, or with life in general, it's never a one-sided perspective. So what does this mean now for the new moon? We're entering into the new moon, which will happen in Gemini, and it's going to happen in 6 degrees and 6 minutes, but depending on the source, the minutes may vary a little bit. Some sources say 6 degrees and 5 minutes, but one of my apps says 6 degrees and 6 minutes, which I love because the 6/6 frequency is really highlighted right now in my life, and I'll get to that numerology in just a little bit. But so Gemini, it's the sign of communication, and we really may notice this as a kind of a moment of a fresh start, a new beginning, where we are also invited, to set our intentions. This is a good moment to really direct your mind, to also really be aware of your surroundings, your immediate surroundings. How are you communicating with your friends, with your groups, with your communities? What kind of a personal ritual are you maintaining right now? Do you feel balanced by that? But especially Gemini teaches us about anything that is in relation. And Gemini is really about understanding the interrelations, the interdependencies, the influences that things have on each other. So this is a beautiful moment where with a trine to Pluto, we have this really beneficial energy to have an understanding and awareness that really helps us to notice what are those things influencing each other in our lives and in the world. So to be able to pinpoint more specifically which kind of a change may be necessary right now, which would be a good starting point. Where do I actually need to communicate? Where is my nervous system out of balance? And what is a very specific thing that I can change? Yeah, so this is also a moment of gathering inspiration, of being experimentative, testing out different things, of course, but ultimately with an awareness of really noticing which things impact each other. It also may feel right now as this big culmination of opportunities, because we have a sextile from Gemini to the energy of Aries, and we have a lot of planets and aspects in Gemini right now, and we also have a lot of planet and aspects in Aries right now. So there's a lot of energies making a sextile to each other. And sextile is a very beneficial energy that feels harmonious, while at the same time, it's an aspect that usually wants to really be recognized and consciously used in order to unfold its full potential. So this is about noticing the opportunities. They may not be so obvious, understanding how you can use the opportunities, but with this Gemini energy, perhaps it's even more so about understanding which influences you have in order to help opportunities arise, and understanding that interplay in your life between the opportunities that you wish, that you seek, that you want to have, and those influencing factors, and really understanding how they behave together, how they play together, so that you can become an initiator for your own initiations to arrive, basically. With Saturn entering Aries, it also kind of marks this whole new beginning of a cycle of maturing, of becoming an elder, reaching a level of mastery about something. But this is marking the beginning stage of that. So it's like we're opening up a new cycle of really understanding something. And as this happens, Saturn is conjuncting the asteroid Ceres, as well as the planet Neptune. It's not direct yet with Neptune, and neither with Ceres, but it's moving there, and this is going to be more prominent in the next months even, this energy. But what this shows us is that with Ceres being very much about harvesting, about understanding the natural cycles of how the grains grow, but also understanding, the mythology talks a lot about motherhood, about wanting to save and guard things, but then ultimately having to surrender and succumb to the natural cycle of things that include loss. It's a story about how to deal with loss, how to cope and find our way in loss. And in the mythology of Ceres, which is Demeter, also the other name, the story was not only about how to retrieve back that thing that was lost, but while doing that, continuing to live and continuing to give and share and support and use the own gifts, so the period of waiting doesn't become just a waiting period, but it is a moment where life goes on, where there is a level of activity, where there is a level of doing something, deciding to move forwards with life. All the while, there's this process of really understanding what is needed, what can we do in order to retrieve that thing that is lost and that is important to us. And at the same time, this really strong awareness and the grief that comes with that, of having to surrender ourselves to the loss that is part of a natural life cycle. So this is a very complex topic. This is a very human topic that really deeply connects us with our experience. And I feel that with Neptune, of course, being very much about spiritual understanding, about unconditional love, about higher frequencies, and the possibility to feel the broader spectrum, to envision things, this conjunction between Saturn, Ceres, and Neptune, for me, really, in the sign of Aries, which is a fire element, it really brings me to ask how are we harvesting right now? Where has there been a loss of our fire? Where has there been a loss, maybe, of passion about something, of energy, of physical strength and energy, of creative momentum, of sexuality, of that inner drive and that fire and that willpower to move forwards? Where has there been a loss? And how can we work to retrieving that, while at the same time we continue to live our life, we continue to do our duties? Because ultimately we understand that we need to be imbalanced, and that we cannot just stop to exist while there is a bigger, longer process in the undertaking. So also, I feel like, we may be moving to the questions of innovation here. How can we make changes? Where can we start something new, do something different? Where can we make a courageous leap of faith? Where can we dare ourselves to be the fool, so to say, to be youthful, to approach a topic in life from a beginner's mindset, to ultimately regenerate and begin a new iteration, where then over time we will reach the level of understanding of an elder. But right now we are almost kind of asked to, in order to become the elder, to become the child again, that is knowing of what it doesn't know, in order to open itself for learning, for new information. But essentially we can only achieve that mastery through experience. So this is also about, our courage, and how can we harvest all of those things sustainably? Not with a negative mindset of fearing that there may be loss, but almost from this understanding that it is wise, in many cases, it is wise to understand that loss and scarcity are part of a natural life cycle, part of a natural, it's just something that exists in life. So in order to be wise with that information, at times it may call us to understand how to ration things, to understand how to, planning those scenarios already into our awareness, so that we are not so surprised by them when they do come. And that doesn't mean that we're calling upon them. It just means that we are realistic about things, and in many cases that can save lives. And I feel that on a personal level, this can also be translated to, how are you rationing your energy? How much are you giving now into a project, but maybe then you'll be burnt out and you won't have enough energy for things that are also important, or you won't have energy to continue with the momentum that you're building. So to really be aware of how much are you giving and taking and receiving, and what are those natural balances for you. I really strongly feel the topic of sexuality is present in the last weeks as well. So this is because Lilith is in Scorpio. And I also feel that this first spark of creation of Aries is also kind of this sexual spark, this Kundalini awakening, this moment of desire. will, of wanting, of feeling an internal tingling that then creates movement. So especially with the topic of sexuality, I think we are also being called to really understand how to ration that. How much of it do we use and give, and for what? And how little do we use and give, and for what do we use it? And of course, sexuality is something that we as a society, collectively, it's being used by many people to, be like a quick fix, to be a quick stimulant, to be a quick solution for something, and to give us quickly this boost of energy, this boost of mood. But I think the question here is also, are we honoring our needs and honoring our urges? And at the same time, are we also really nourishing ourselves with what we are doing? Are those things balanced? And is that energy actually being used in a nourishing way, or is it just kind of be like thrown out around the world, around your environment, or like, throughout the day? So this brings us again this Gemini awareness of the moon and the sun that are really able to grasp something right now, grasping this is how things are actually interrelating with each other. This is how my actions from 3 hours ago are connecting with my feelings of right now. This is how, my choices from a few weeks ago are having consequences now. And to just have like a refreshed awareness, a deepened sense of awareness of how things are connected. This Lilith is really important right now because we also have a so-called Yod aspect, which is Lilith being in conjunct on one side to the new moon and the sun, and being in conjunct on the other side to the Neptune and Ceres. So a Yod aspect is kind of a moment of critical energy that can lead us into crisis, but it's always for the unfolding of a higher awareness and a higher purpose. It's one of the letters in the alphabet, and it's actually the smallest letter also. It's the 10th letter, so it's also connected with the tarot card of the wheel, the cycle of life. Also the new beginning, but not of nothing, but of a new iteration of something. And the Yod teaches us and invites us to notice the really small things in life. And it's also an invitation to hold up our hand or our finger to connect with something. I feel like this is really asking us how reality is shaped by small impulses, by energetic impacts, by these different elements of fire, air, and water, being in Scorpio, in Aries, and in Gemini. And what is interesting is that this new moon is in degree 6. So if we read the corresponding degree in the Sabian symbols, the symbol reads a well with a bucket and rope under the shade of majestic trees. And it talks about the element of water, of retrieving water from the earth, and about moving our perspective to the quest of something that is so essential, that is basically the thing that we are all searching for, is this water of life, this element that quenches our thirst. It mentions the fundamental trust and cooperation with life. And so I really feel strongly this topic of cooperation between the body and the soul. And Gemini is also about cooperation. It's about collaboration. That's what we do also with our friends, with our neighbors, with our local communities. It's all about exchange. But the best exchanges are mutual exchanges where both or all people involved feel like they have been, treated with respect, that there has been something beneficial happening for each of them, and that overall it feels like it was an enriching encounter or something that connects with the respective values. So this cooperation between the sky and the earth, the soul and the body, really understanding, are the parts of ourselves really in cooperation? The body that moves us, is that in cooperation with the soul that moves us also through life? Are the thoughts in cooperation with our willpower? Are the dreams and visions that we tell ourselves we have, are they in cooperation with our, our physical needs? And so I think it's an invitation to check upon our values, because the values greatly influence all of our collaborations, all of our communications, all of our, exchanges. And the value of something is defined as being a relative status. It's a relative status. So how do we change our values? If we notice that there's values not aligned with something, how do we change them? Well, we change the relations to things. We change the context and the relations. And with this Gemini energy, we are very supported in understanding things about the relations, about the context. So yeah, it's a good moment for us to get in tune with our values, to shape and align our values, to really help us reach a connection with the underlying quest we are on, with the underlying thirst that we truly want to quench from our soul, from our spirit, from our whole being in a holistic way. What is that water at the end of the well that will bring us a renewed experience of aliveness, of freshness, of being clean, of being reborn, and of being able also to continue, because we do need that water to survive. So we also do need that spiritual water to thrive. And with the number 6 degrees and 6 minutes, and the number 6 appearing all the time in my life right now, or 666, which is, a number that is often misunderstood, and a lot of people are scared of it. And, there's a lot of institutions that are telling us, oh, this number is good and this number is bad. But when we ultimately look at life and look at the structures and look at the molecules and what functions numbers have in life, we can maybe understand a less distorted meaning of what that number holds as value. For example, the number 6 is connected, of course, with the hexagon, hex meaning 6. And this is a molecular structure and that life itself uses. It's how molecules form themselves naturally in order to create the most stability and the most efficient arrangement of how to utilize space. And this is, for example, why bees have a hexagonal structure in their honeycombs, and why the 6 can be found in many different plant shapes and, cell structures. So it's a very magical number that has to do with life organizing itself and kind of how this material world forms itself into existence. I've been seeing the bee symbology so much lately. There was even, bees coming to me and the honey coming to me, and also, hearing about the worshippers of the bees called the Melissae. It's a Greek word, and these were like Greek bee worshippers or bee goddesses. So looking at these symbols, I feel that the 6 does play an important role right now. And what also comes to me with the 6 is sacred geometry and symbols. For example, the Metatron's cube. That is a very special combination of a shape that is able to hold all of the 5 platonic solids, all of the majorly important shapes that create our whole reality, our whole bubble of existence. And this shape is also said to have, protective qualities, healing powers, that each of the shapes of the platonic solids can also help us to either release emotions or have a renewed sense of energy, or help us make better decisions, or connect us with our soul's essence. And so by working with these sacred geometries and inviting them into our life, we can also really support a process, and we can give ourselves some of that nourishment, some of that food on an energetic level. The same way that we know how important it is to eat food for our bodies, it also can help us to eat and drink energies for our for our energetic vibratory bodies. Not that it's separate, but it's just that, you know, on different layers things impact each other in a different way, and also sometimes faster, more directly. And so it's, you know, we want to have a holistic health experience. But before, I continue saying anything else, I actually would like to invite in the tarot cards and to just ask for some guidance before finishing this reading. To invite in the archetypes to speak and to ask what will really help and support us with this new moon. And is there any important message for us to know at this time for anybody listening? So I'm just shuffling the cards here, and one card just came out, and this is, wow, this is the 0, this is the Fool, this is it's backwards now, but this is the basically card for Aries. Even kind of before Aries, it's basically like the card between Pisces and Aries. But yeah, it's the Fool, it's the 0, it's the starting point. And it is the Fool that we all are at the very beginning of a journey. It's actually an invitation, as I mentioned earlier, to really step into that beginner's mindset, embracing it, embracing the fact that we do not know anything, but in using that awareness, you know, in a supportive way. Because you can tell yourself, I don't know anything, so I'm going to be scared now because something bad could happen. I don't know if something bad is going to happen, so anything could happen at all times. And really take yourself down a path of, you know, anxiety and mind racing and just worry. Or you can tell yourself, I don't know anything, so something really amazing could happen at any moment. There could be a miracle happening today in my life, or tomorrow in my life, or there could be something really positive. I could receive an opportunity. I could meet someone who changes my life. And using it to have kind of like the reverse of anxiety, like a positive anxiousness, which could be called an excitement for life. So then maybe you're more excited to go outside, you're more excited to leave the house, not because you don't know when something bad could happen, but because you don't know something really good could happen if you go outside. And also noticing when you tell yourself these sentences, what comes up for you? How much do you believe them? If you notice that telling yourself something really good could happen, you are noticing a doubt, then maybe that's an invitation to explore that a little bit. What is the doubt telling you? Yeah, and the more you explore those things, you can understand what is actually my value that is creating this belief. What is my thought? What is my feeling? Where is that coming from? How long has it been there in my life? What is contributing to it? And with all of that information, you can start to craft a little vehicle for you to move in a different direction. The Fool is also about understanding, what do we need to take with us on this journey or not? It does feel like we are entering a huge, bigger new cycle. So really, you know, going through this kind of purging moment where it's okay to leave some things, just let them, you know, rearrange, let life rearrange itself, knowing that you have got what you need inside of you, but also that you know which things are really critical for you, are really important for you, and then focusing on those things, because you're at the beginning of this new journey. So you don't need a whole bunch of extra stuff yet right now, you know? I mean, metaphorical stuff. I'm not really only talking about material things here. This can also be related to knowledge, you know? Maybe you want to begin something new, embark on a new journey, or begin teaching something or whatever. Maybe you don't have to have 30 years of experience in that field yet. Maybe you just need to begin and start walking. And over time, after 30 years, you may have, you know, mastered that. But right now, it's just about knowing, like, I have enough to make the first step, and life will provide me with the rest. And I know how to dig into the ground for water, you know, so to not be afraid when things aren't so obviously visible, because you also know how to access them. I feel that this card is also an invitation to honor all of the different aspects of life, you know, honoring what each part of life brings in, what every single thing that exists is actually giving. Because I feel Aries is also very giving. It's basically here saying, I am, I want to experience. I have formed myself as a thing, a consciousness with a desire. And so what is that desire? What is the desire of the mushroom kingdom? What is the desire of the flower kingdom? What is the desire of the different animals in the animal kingdoms? What is the desire of the mountain and the desire of the rivers and the desire of the sun? What is the desire of a human? What is your desire? And while acknowledging your own desire, really also making space to acknowledge the desires of everyone else around you. Because as we are entering this phase where, especially now with Gemini, we're understanding the important things about connection, communication, interaction. With Aries, we're also right now confronted with our individualism, our personal will, our personal path, our, you know, also with Aquarius and Pluto, our uniqueness. So while we really honor our own uniqueness, it's crucial that we also honor everyone else's uniqueness, because that's how all of our unique individual selves can maintain and stay connected to the awareness of interconnection, of interdependence, of co-creation, understanding that I am important and you are important, and therefore we are also important to exchange with each other. And that can help us in the long run change our perspectives about things that we judge, change our doubts and our fears that and our ideas and beliefs that we have about things, or, you know, whatever we feel is not important. Maybe we realize it's not so important for us, but understanding where it may have an importance, that it has an importance, that it does exist, that it does have a space, it does have a place in life, but we may not be able to connect to that importance. But that doesn't mean that we get to judge over what is important and what is not. Us as an individual, I as an individual can never judge about what is important and what is not for the whole existence. I can only judge that for what is needed in my, you know, in my experience, in my field. But yeah, feels like an invitation to honor that. And feeling that Pluto's retrograde still right now, I've been receiving again and again the topic of reconciliation. So this might also be an invitation to reconcile with some aspects of nature that we do not like or that we do not find important. Because in the long run, we are also maybe embarking on a new journey where, with understanding the interconnections, the interactions, we have to extend that to all life. We cannot just have ideas about us as humans in an isolated way. We cannot just understand human-to-human interaction. We cannot just understand politics as something that is just human-to-human experience. We cannot just understand Earth as countries. We cannot just understand the human point of view. We have to extend that to include everything else here on this planet, to be aware of the natural cycles, of animals' purpose, of animal health, of the environments, of the purpose of trees and clean air, and understand that politics is also all of that. That health and food and what we eat is also all of that. That capitalism and the business world is also all of that. That all of these topics have always been connected, and now we're just like remembering, oh wait, oh wow, oof, this is a lot. But don't worry, just take the first steps. Yeah, because when we all start taking just the first tiny little steps, it's already having a huge impact, and we'll gain more and more momentum. And essentially, a lot of these things are also not super complicated and hard to change. The reason why they're not changing is because there are still values in place that are kind of trying to keep a certain path. So we really got to change those values. But in order to change values, we need to understand. And in order to understand, we need to experience. We need to go out in the world and in the parks and with a mindset of magic. A mindset of understanding, wow, there's something. When you see a bird, understanding, wow, this bird is having an experience with me right now. I'm having an experience with this bird right now. And maybe trying out how that feels now that you have a different perception of it. It's not just a bird. It's a living part of existence that has a desire, that has a purpose, that has a vibration, a frequency. And now you can ask yourself, wow, how is this experience right now for me? What am I feeling? What am I noticing? And this is how we access deeper levels of understanding our whole consciousness. And I think that's what this Pluto trine with the sun and the moon and this whole new moon in Gemini is really also bringing us. We're able to access a whole different area of our brain. And for me, that is exciting and beautiful. This is an invitation for excitement, for health, for reverence of the world, the archetypes, the wisdom, the cycles. And so this feels like a beautiful initiation to continue with the video series. So if you enjoyed it, I hope to see you back next time. Please share the video with anybody who you think could benefit from watching this. Give it a like, give it a comment. I would really love to hear about your experience right now and what you feel like is really changing in your consciousness. If you agree with anything that I said, and maybe you even have a big takeaway right now for what are you learning in this cycle, or even what is the intention that you're understanding you need to set. And by sharing that in the comments, we can read it, other people can exchange with you, you'll be in communication with, a certain frequency, and we can all benefit from each other in that way. It's so important to share our voice, and this is an invitation to practice that. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. If you would like some personal guidance to understand how this is impacting your chart, especially the houses where you have Aries and Gemini energy are really going to be impacted by this right now, then you can contact me. I give personal readings, one-on-one sessions. You can have it online or in person if you are in the Berlin area. But yeah, I also do workshops, so you can also stay up to date if you would like to know about any future events. And I will link all of the information below so that you can find it. I'm really, really grateful that you're here. Thank you so much. I'm sending you all the love, all of the beautiful beginner mindset that is leading us to a new understanding, a new maturing, a new level of mastering skills, and that we support each other on this journey. From my heart to yours, lots of love, and I'll see you next time.